All right. We will get started. Welcome everyone. Thank you for taking time out of your day to join us for the DiSC Activities webinar. My name is Tanya Schumann. I'm a Wiley certified trainer and facilitator. I also have certifications in 5 behaviors, LPI, several of the De Bono methodologies as well. Today, we're going to spend the next hour. Hopefully, I'll be sharing 4 new activities, maybe activities that you haven't yourself facilitated or participated in. And please, if you have, and there's some additional comments or I've done this and this worked or this didn't work, please do not hesitate to break in. Okay. Any questions before we get started? Okay. All right. In the chat box, if everybody will, okay. I apologize. I'm trying to move one screen out of my way and I keep moving some other screens here. If in the chat box, if you will let us know your name, your DiSC style, and a favorite DiSC activity that you've either facilitated or that you've participated in. We'll just take a minute or two for everyone to share that. And do we have any new facilitators in the room that haven't had a chance to facilitate a workshop yet? I love a day in the life. And is it Nicole? Okay. I think we've talked on the phone a time or two, Nicole. I remember your last name.
Hard to forget.
Yeah. All right. A day in the life. Yes. Let's see. Day in the life. Okay. All right. Welcome, Leanne, new facilitator. Hopefully you're going to come away with a couple of new activities that you can do either in person or virtually. Anybody else here? Here we go. All right. Welcome, Brianna, new facilitator. And Carrie, I agree. Anything that gets them excited and talking about the content, that is a great thing. Oh, the office is moving, where you're taking all of that content and then you're creating a poster that talks to a different DiSC style. That is a good one too. Okay, so I think most of us have participated in a day in the life. Before we get going, does anybody have a new spin on it that they've incorporated something new, a new element? Any suggestions for some of our new facilitators as well as the facilitators that have been around for a bit? Does anybody use the combination of pictures and just having them write it? I know if you've participated in any of our certifications, we do the combination, but I always like to ask, how does the picture writing go over in your groups? Oh, Carrie, you've done a day in the life in your email? Carrie, will you kind of expand on that? What is that? What do you mean by email?
Yeah, so I'm at the University of Missouri, so lots of I work with all the academics, and so I talk about how do they handle their email communication. There's always like thousands of emails coming in, and you can really tell their style by how they handle that, what things they'll do via email, what things they want to meet face to face. So really trying to take a thing that they do in their normal work life and how do you break that apart into styles.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. That's great. And especially right now, everyone is still so virtual. I think a lot of communication gets done via email and not so much face-to-face still. Steve, real scenarios into the activity. Do you get those real scenarios beforehand, Steve, or do you ask for suggestions when you get everybody into the room?
Combination of both. But usually try to gather some of the ones in advance that may be having an impact on their collaboration or communication. Sometimes they're pretty willing to share.
Yes, and sometimes you're just like, okay, stop. That might be a little bit of an overshare. All right, real scenarios. Yep, I love the magazines, clipping them out because it brings in that little bit of a fun element too, and it helps those that don't feel that they're an artist, such as myself. So, okay. And Vonda, you are correct. Usually people, and you kind of know which styles are like, I'm completely unsure. And then once they get into it, I think this activity elicits so much fun conversation as well. And even while they're creating their posters, there's a lot of fun conversation going. So, okay. All right. Thank you for sharing those things. I love to do this when we run these kind of webinars. One, I always learn something new from my facilitators and the trainers that I get to talk to. So I think it's great that we can share some new ideas. And two, for the new facilitators that are with us, just packing their toolbox full of things that they're able to do with the different groups. So thank you for sharing, everybody. All right, agenda today for the next 40 minutes, introductions. Alicia, most of you have spoke with my beautiful and wonderful colleague, Alicia. She's on here.
Hello, everyone.
Yep, any follow-up, feel free to reach out to her or to myself. Thank you for introducing yourself through the chats. DiSC activities. So there will be 5 quick activities. Well, I'm hoping to get through all 5 of them. I'm actually going to have you do a couple of these. We'll do some breakout rooms just so you can experience them. There's a couple of activities that will be for intact teams, or it will work better for intact teams. And then there's a couple that you could do just with a general workshop. I am asking you guys, if there is something that you see that you can make this activity better, you can alternate for different groups, please speak up either in the chat or just say, hey, I have a suggestion, okay? Most of these I've done. There's a couple that I've pulled in, I'll be honest with you, that I haven't had the opportunity to do. So if you've done them or if you've done an iteration of this, please let us know how it went, okay? All right, first DiSC activity, social network. This is one that I do. And I have this template. My template is there at the bottom. This is a great activity for team building, whether it's a new team, an intact team. I've done this with leadership teams, C-suite leaders. It encourages team members to get to know one another a little bit better. And it allows them to share communication tips. So as you're taking them through the workshop, they're filling out what I call their social network card. What do I want you to know about me? Okay. I've done this both in the classroom in person, and I've also done it virtual. What you need in person, cardstock paper, poster paper. If it's virtual, a virtual whiteboard or a Jamboard where each person can have their own board. Okay. Setting it up, I usually have one of these at everybody's seat. And just let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger here. I have them write their name on it, their style. I have them place their dot on the graph, and I will change the graph to whatever profile that I'm using. So if I'm using sales, it's the sales graph with the sales priorities. If it's work of leaders, same thing. And then I ask them to write down a couple of fun facts about themselves, something that they're not afraid to share, but something that the rest of their team may not know about it. And we do a quick talk. Why is that important? Why would it be important for you to know me at a different level, not just a work level? And so that elicits some pretty good discussion. And then again, as you're taking them through, then they will complete like my superpowers. So once you get through that first module where you're learning that self-awareness module, this is my style, this is what I want you to know about me, they can write down 2 strengths that I want you to remember. When communicating with me, please remember that can come in module 2 or module 3. the most important thing, and this is the fun part of this, is that you have them post this somewhere. And if it's virtual, then you have them kind of scroll through everybody's posters. And if it's in person, grab like shipping paper, rolls of shipping paper, and tack it to the wall. You have everybody kind of put their own social network card. You have them post it, and then you have folks sometime during the workshop draw lines. This is where I connect to Steve. This is where I connect to Carrie. And then they have this huge visual aid with all of these lines where there's a ton of different connections. So because if I've connected with you somehow and I'm going to communicate with you, or things get tense, I'm going to remember that connection and hopefully rely on that connection to get us through that conflict. Because when things are great, communication is great. We don't ever really talk about the negative stuff, but it's when we find ourselves in conflict that we really need to rely on everything that we have in kind of our communication toolbox. Okay. Has anybody done an activity such as this? Okay. Depending on your group, this was my leadership name tent. If you're working with a group that's pretty creative, I've even had them draw their avatars. So when you think of social network, you think of avatars. So you can get as creative with this template as you want to. But this elicits a lot of conversation when they're on breaks. You know, oh my gosh, I can't believe Nicole has a duck. I don't know if you have a duck, Nicole, but it gives them something else to talk about. Okay. All right. Any questions, any comments on this particular activity? Leanne, yes. And okay, so there's the whole page, and we will share the slide deck. We'll share the activities. Okay, so you guys will have them. And hopefully my instructions are fairly clear. I'm a very strongly inclined SI or IS. I'm right on that line. So sometimes I have to be very careful about my instructions because I know what I'm trying to tell you, but when I'm writing them or telling you my instructions, sometimes I might miss a detail or two. Okay. All right. Next, here we go. Quick disc card game ideas. Does anybody use quick disc? Okay. I love this. I love this card game. It has a ton of different uses here. The quick disc, the card game itself, it's 128 cards. You get one green set for dominance, red set for influencing, blue set for steadiness, one yellow set for conscientiousness. There's a couple of different ways you can use this card set. It's a great icebreaker. It's a great introduction to the DiSC language, the words that they'll be hearing throughout the workshop. It's a great alternative to the Four Corners activity. And it starts to engage the learners. Especially if you've got learners that aren't used to talking about themselves or are a little bit hesitant. Hopefully this is a fun activity that gets them out of their shell a little bit, and it encourages them to start talking about themselves in the DiSC language. Okay. What you'll want to do is shuffle that deck up. So it's a variety of different cards, and then you'll put a stack on each table, and you'll ask participants to select 3 cards, and you can change the amount up, guys. There's no right or wrong answers in terms of how many cards you're letting them select. But I have them select 3 cards that they feel truly describe themselves. And I have them select 2 cards that they're like, no, this is not an accurate description of myself. And then what I do, so if this is an alternative to the Four Corners activity, I ask them to take a look at their cards and what's the color scheme that they have of the cards that they feel that describe them. So they may have 2 red ones and 1 green one. I always ask them, go to the dimension that closely correlates to the color of your cards. Okay. So if you've got somebody that has picked a green card, a red card, and a blue card, which I have had because they think that they need one from each color, just have them think about those 3 words. Which one, if I said you could only use one word to describe yourself, and then have them go to that dimension. Okay. So it's kind of a fun activity to get them, instead of asking them those 2 questions, they're picking out these cards, they go to the correlating dimension, and then you ask them the question that you would ask at the 4 corners. Does the dimension that you've chosen, does it represent or reflect the style that's on your profile? Okay. And then after you get them, you can either do it while they're still standing up, you can have them go back to their seat, but then give them 10, 15 minutes, depending on how many people are in each table, and have them go around the room, introduce themselves, and talk about why they chose their cards, both the 3 accurate and the 2 that are non-accurate. Okay. So it's just a really great icebreaker. It gets them, it introduces them to the common language of DiSC, of Wiley DiSC, and it gets them using those words. Okay. I have had this where they have to find someone of a different. So if you've got a red card, you need to go find somebody, and you would instruct them. You would go find somebody with a yellow card. So opposite dimensions. Okay. And then have them have a conversation around that. Okay. Anybody use Quick DiSC that has a different spin on an activity that they've used with the Quick DiSC card game? Okay. Okay. All right. Next activity here. Okay. What did I say? So this could be a really fun activity. It's a little bit of a form of telephone. Remember that game that we all played when we were a kid? This improves everybody's skill of giving direction and information, and being self-aware of how you communicate and who you're communicating to. How do I need to flex to that person? And as the person that's receiving that information, understanding what that other person's style is, I may need to give them clarification questions, right? And then it's practice. How do I do that? So this is the activity that I'm going to put you guys into separate rooms. We're going to work in groups of 2, and it's anonymous. Okay. What I want you guys to do in the meantime, if you're able to, and Leanne, I know you're not able to do this, but I want you guys to pick a picture or a shape, something that you're going to communicate to your partner. They're not going to be able to see that picture. What I want you guys to do is try to get them to draw that picture. You're going to give them directions and see how close they can get that picture to the actual picture. Okay, so don't make it something really, really, really difficult like the Mona Lisa, but something that you're going to feel comfortable describing to them to try to get them to draw. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys about 30 to 45 seconds to find your picture. Okay. And if you guys want to give me a heads up or a thumbs up, let me know that you're ready. And then Alicia, can you set up the breakout rooms for me?
Yes. How long would you like the breakout rooms to be?
So I'm going to give you guys about 3 minutes each to do the transcribing, so to speak. Okay. And then we'll come back here and we'll kind of debrief that. Okay. So we'll do 3 minutes first. We'll pull them back, debrief it really quickly, and then I'll put you back into the breakout rooms and you'll switch roles. Okay.
Right.
Nicole, where do you find a picture? Whatever picture, you can pull something up from the internet. So it could be a picture of a minion. I have a minion on my desk. It could be a picture of like Tom and Jerry, or I'm really dating myself, aren't I? A picture of anything, something that's a little bit simple, or it could just be a shape. You could literally write a shape and describe that. the object of the activity is to see if you can describe what you want them to do and have it end up close to what you're describing. Okay.
All right, I'm going to create those breakout rooms so you can join those whenever you are ready.
Okay. Any questions before?
Do we both do it?
Yes,
Or-
so yes, and when I'm setting this up, I will have pre-made pictures or shapes on cards. And so I'll pass those out and I'll lay them face down and tell them not to share their picture with one another. But virtually, I couldn't give you guys the pictures. So that's why I'm asking. I know this is a little bit more difficult having you find a picture of your own, or even just think about something.
So
And
in 3 minutes, do both of us help the other figure out the picture, or does one of us just do it with the other?
so 3 minutes, one person will tell the person, give that person direction. We're going to come back into the main room and debrief it really quick. How was it to give the directions? How was it to receive it?
Okay,
Where was the miscommunication? Was the picture that your partner drew, how closely it resembled the picture in your head or the one that you have on your screen? And then I'll put you back into the breakout rooms, give you 3 more minutes,
I
and
see.
then you'll switch roles.
Okay.
Now,
So if I'm understanding correctly, this is like Pictionary.
kind of, yeah, yes.
Okay.
Absolutely, yes.
Thank you.
Yep,
And we will have 3 people in one room just because we don't have an even number here.
okay,
All right.
okay,
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open those up.
okay. Is everybody ready, or does anybody need a little bit more time to do this? Okay, there's another spin on this activity that I've done as well that doesn't include drawing, and we'll talk about that when we get back. Dictionary. I didn't think to explain it that way. Yes. How close was it? Was there anybody that they said, "Oh my gosh, you did great. That was really close." Okay. Nicole, Tracy, Vonda.
No.
Okay. Was there anyone that was really, really far off? Nobody far off. Okay. Good. We're facilitators, so we're really good at explaining things. That's what I'm saying. The second group, how was that? So being the person who was being given the directions and having a little bit more information, was it a little bit easier?
Yeah, it was easy knowing we could ask questions. So I was able to ask questions and get my picture, as right as I can by not being a drawer.
So, well, it's got to get close. It's got to be as close as you need it to be. So when we think about different DiSC styles, so in our workshops, talking about the different DiSC styles and how certain styles are more apt to ask those questions versus the ones that aren't, what are some strategies as facilitators that you could use with this particular activity that might encourage them if they're a little bit shy about asking questions, or you've got leaders who might be a little bit new? How could we take this particular activity and kind of shape it for more of a leadership activity?
I was going to say, actually, the exercise you have is really great. The learning would be in the debrief. As people are saying, well, I didn't know I could ask questions. So as a leader, that helps me to be aware, ask the question, what questions do you have?
Right. But if I'm a leader, I really need to know who I'm talking to, because if I'm an S, what are S's going to do as that leader gives them the instructions? A lot of times, yep.
Yeah.
And they may not feel comfortable saying, wait a minute, I need clarity. They'll just go back to their desk and kind of, I don't know. So, and on the flip side of that, think about if you're communicating to a D and you've just given those instructions, maybe what would you do if you were a leader and you were communicating these to a D? And this stuff should all come out in the debrief, but just in case, being able to say, now, wait a minute, what if this scenario occurs? Because sometimes Ds will go off and create their own path. And while you may need them to say, okay, I need you to take A, B, C, and D, or I's even. I'm one of those folks. I'm going to draw you a cup and I'm going to draw you a cat, and it's going to be the color of cup that I like and the cat that I like. And that may not be what the leader wants. So as a leader, making sure there's that awareness there of who I'm communicating to too. So this is just, I love this activity. One, it's kind of fun when you see those pictures. It gives people, a lot of times it'll give them some giggles, because even if you're fairly close, most of us aren't artists. So it's going to look like who knows what. So it's just kind of a fun role, but it reinforces the content in which you're trying to get them to understand. Okay. Any other questions or comments, or, hey, if I try this, I think I might do this for this particular activity? Okay.
I would say that the initial go find a picture of something,
Mhm.
it sort of like slowed me down. I'm like, oh geez, now, and I quit listening to you so that I could go search for a picture. And as an I, that just like, I didn't hear anything you said after that.
Come on,
But
Fonda.
what someone in my group did was just pick something on their desk, and and so I think I might say, look around you and pick something that you could describe to someone to draw.
That would have been a better way to do that. That way you're not sending them out.
Right. You distracted me, and then I was in a different, doing something else. So I might do that differently for us eyes.
And that I will take that when I do this virtually. I'm just going to say, look at your desk and pick an item off of your desk. That would be a lot better. When you're doing this in the classroom, however, I've got pictures and shapes that I hand out, which then it just becomes a no thinking. And you just pass them out. So, but I like that. Just look at your desk, pick something off of your desk. Okay. Any other comments about this particular activity? Okay. All right. Next activity, and it's 11:45, so we will get through this one. And then I want to introduce you really quickly to our name tags and give you a couple of ideas for that one as well. But this is about giving and receiving some feedback. Okay, so know your group, right? As facilitators, if you're working with a team that's working through a lot of conflict, this may not be the best activity for them. But if it's a newer team or a team where they're just honing their skills, or they're, we're going to get together and we want to work on communicating even more effectively, this is a great activity to do. And you can do this with the strongest impression and I appreciate. Another way to do this is that start, stop, and continue. The start, stop, and continue, you really need to know your team. With this one, the strongest impression and I appreciate, it's a little bit of a soft landing if you're going to do this particular activity. But it really starts to encourage, how can I be more open with my team? I want to build trust with them. Again, this is about self-awareness. So if I know that this is how I am landing on other folks, then I'm going to be aware of that. And then again, it allows practice on how you can continue to use and reinforce that DiSC language when you're discussing some communication. Okay. You can do this both in the classroom or virtual. You just need Post-its and poster paper. And what I would do is split groups into 4 people. If you've got a smaller, you can change that number up, but splitting groups into smaller groups. and have each person write their name on the top of a sheet of poster paper or on a whiteboard. Okay, so group of 4, if it was Alicia, myself, Tracy and Carrie, we'd all write our names on the piece of paper, big enough to where everybody's going to be throwing things on our paper. Okay, and then you're going to have them take their Post-it notes and you're going to have them create or write one, this is my strongest impression, or this is the strongest impression of you that I have, and I appreciate you for. It's similar to the please do, please don't activity. Are you guys familiar with our please do, please don't activity? Okay. Okay. Rhonda, you are. So it's a little bit of a spin-off on please do, please don't, but this is strongest impression and I appreciate. And then you'll have them take their marker, write a line right down the center of the paper. The strongest impressions go on one side. I appreciate you for goes on the other side. Okay. And then we don't do a whole lot of debriefing around this particular activity, but what I will have them do is take a look at those strongest impressions and then go around the room and have them pick out a couple of them and have them discuss, how is this a strength of mine? And how might that strength turn into a stressor for somebody else? Okay. So one of the things I think my strongest impression is my need to connect with people. So is it a strength? It absolutely is, because I'm continuing to build relationships. But where that becomes a weakness to me is when I take it a little bit too far. Sometimes the person that I'm communicating with, they don't necessarily want to be too social with me, and that's okay. And I need to be self-aware and not take it personally. It's not about me, it's about them. So taking those strongest impressions, having that individual say, you know, this is, I think this is a strength because, but I understand where it could become a stressor because. Okay. And I love the appreciation piece of it. And we really don't do a debrief, but everyone likes to see what other people appreciate them for. So that's the feel good piece of the activity. Okay. And then I would have them, you know, take a screenshot of it or do a PDF if you're doing it virtual, but it's just it encourages that conversation. And again, that awareness, like, hey, this is a strength, but I know if I turn up that volume too high or too low, it becomes a real stressor for somebody. Okay. Has anybody done something along this line? The please do, please don't, I know is probably the most closest that I know of, but anybody else that's done something similar to this? Okay. Any suggestions what you might do if you were to bring this activity into one of your workshops? Okay.
Do you just have them go around the 4 people and talk about it? You
Yes.
don't come back together with a big group? Okay.
I don't. But if you have time, and again, as facilitators, if you think that that's going to be valuable for the entire group, then do it. Absolutely do it. Okay. Okay. Last activity, and I don't have a slide for this, so I apologize. It's the DiSC name tags. And Alicia, can you pull that up on our website? We have the name tags, they're plastic ones and they have the backing. You can do this activity. It's just kind of a fun little activity with the paper. Hello, my name is. What you will have them do is, and once Alicia shows.
Yep, I am working on that.
Okay.
1 second.
You will have them pick out, hello, my name is, and I thought I had one in my office, but I think I have them on my fridge. There's, hello, my name is superstar. Hello, my name is accuracy. And you have them pick out one of their name tags and they get to wear that name tag, right? And so at some point throughout the workshop, you have that person, you'll go up to like Vonda. So Vonda may say, hello, my name is enthusiasm. Well, I bet enthusiasm is part of the I priorities. So you're getting folks to recognize again those words, that common language that Wiley DiSC builds, and it's a little bit fun as well. And as soon as, do you want me to stop sharing?
So I just put it in the chat box if you want to go ahead and click on that
Okay.
link.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. And you can actually, I would put a list of words that that Wiley uses to describe the different dimensions, and then have them write a name tag, you know. And again, these are awesome. They're magnetic, they're plastic. You can use them again and again, but budgets are tight and they're getting even tighter. Just have them go out and buy a big package of the Avery ones that are hello, my name is, and then have them, give them a list of words and have them write one on there and wear it around. Okay. That's just a really fun little inexpensive activity that reinforces that DiSC language. Okay. All right. I have 7 minutes with you guys, and I know Alicia needs to, we're going to give you some upcoming events for you guys to be aware of. Any questions or comments that you guys have for me or for Alicia right now?
Yeah, Tracy.
Go ahead, Tracy.
I was wondering, can you just use the DiSC cards? They have those words on, some of those words on it. They don't have all the words on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what their name, hello, my name is.
Yeah, that's a very good idea. So if you're going to use the quick DiSC cards, then just have them take one of those cards and write that on their hello, my name is. That's a great idea. Thank you for sharing.
All right, and Leanne asked if we can have the day in the life instructions, so we can add that into the slides that Tanya has.
Yes. Yeah. I was trying to change it up. I was asking Alicia, for those of you that have been on our previous DiSC activities, is that one that Judy, because Judy, our master DiSC trainer, she usually brings that one into the mix. So we will give you those instructions to the newer facilitators that are on here. All right. So before I turn this back over to Alicia, if you guys will, once you run any of these activities, come back to us, email either myself or Alicia, and let us know how these activities go. And if there's changes that you made and how those changes worked, that would be great. So that way, the next time I present this particular set of activities, I can say, hey, here's a couple of alternatives that our trainers have used, and this was the outcome. So just different things to think about. Plus, I always like to build my trainer activity library as well. Okay. All right, Miss Lish, we have 5 minutes. If you want, I'm going to stop sharing so you can share your slide.
Perfect. I'm hoping I can share. Give me 1 second. All right, here we go. All right, so webinars. We try to have webinars usually every month or every other month. And our next one we're going to have is going to be on De Bono parallel thinking. And Tanya, are you presenting this one or? Okay, so Tanya will be doing that webinar as well. So this pairs really well with DiSC. So we'll have that webinar, and then we're going to have a facilitation tools workshop on June 21st. So this is $100, and it's going to go over Mentimeter, Jamboards, Zoom. So just introducing you to some different virtual tools that you can be using. And if you leave us a review on today's webinar or just Resources Unlimited in general, you can attend that webinar or that workshop for free. So I'll be sending you guys an email with that. Otherwise, you can just take a picture of that QR code at the bottom of the screen and do that review there. And then we're into July already, and we'll be doing the 5 behaviors webinar. So we'll be going over personal development, team development. And then if you aren't already certified, which I know we already have a lot of certified trainers on this call, we have an online certification. So it is 2 sessions a week, and they are each 2 hours. And then we'll also be in Washington, DC on July 18th and 19th. And if you're in that area and you're already certified, we'll have a disconnection event the night prior. And that's going to be introducing you to those De Bono tools and how to connect that with DiSC. And lastly, a Strength Finders webinar on July 27th. So we'll be sending out an email and you can register for any of these webinars that you want to, and they are recorded. So you'll receive a recording. So if you're not able to attend, still sign up for those.
Yep. And then Lish, do you want to tell them about the discount for showing up today?
Oh, yes. So any peripherals that you purchase, it is 10% off. So I'll be including a code in the email that I send. So like the quick disc cards, you'll get a discount on those. Right.
All right. Any questions? We've got about 3 minutes left. Any questions or content? The facility is that building on the Train the Trainer workshops. Oh, the facilitation tools workshop.
Yeah.
Yes, Nicole. So we're going to teach you some virtual tools that are out there, such as Jamboard. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but the beginning of COVID, everybody was pivoting and it was like, how do we continue to offer workshops when nobody can be in the same room together? And Jamboard is awesome. It is probably, as a facilitator, it is the one tool that I've found where I feel like I can be in the same room with them because I'm watching them in real time do their poster work or small group work. And it allows us to put people in the breakout rooms, give them the sheet. I can see it. Everyone can see it without the clunkiness of the Zoom whiteboard. So if you guys have worked in Zoom and tried to do their whiteboard, how many of you have had people go, I lost my whiteboard, because it automatically saves in a folder that nobody's going to be able to find. So Jamboard was our alternative to the Zoom whiteboard, and it is awesome. And I bring in Jamboard into my classroom workshops as well, because there's a click of the button and everything can be downloaded as a PDF. So you've got real-time PDF that you can distribute after the workshop. Okay.
And Nicole, I just saw your message. It is virtual tools, just virtual.
Yep. And we'll talk about how you can bring them into the classroom and how, if it's just truly a total virtual workshop, how you can use those to increase the effectiveness of your workshops. Okay.
Okay, but it's just about the virtual tools.
Yes. Yep. Mentimeter, Jamboard, Zoom, some of the Zoom things, the polls, and I think those are the 3 main ones that we do. And then I'll have you guys kind of work within those so you get a feel for how to work, and especially Jamboard. Jamboard is great, but it has some quirky things to it. But once you know what the quirkiness is, then you can overcome those. Okay.
Right. And then Tracy had a question about the 4 styles. Do we have instructions? The pretend car.
The pretend.
Where the driver, they rotate sitting, like someone takes the steering wheel, they're driving. There's 3 other people who represents other styles in the car. I've seen the exercise. I haven't seen the instructions for the exercise.
I don't know if I've seen this exercise, Tracy, so I'm going to have to do some digging around and asking some of my trainers if they've done it. So if I find the instructions, Tracy, I will forward that on, and I will put that on the list to present our next DiSC activities webinar.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other questions before we click off? And we have a recording of this. We'll send out the slides with the activities that we presented today. And of course, we're always here. If there's questions that you think of after, please do not hesitate to reach out and ask. Okay. All right, guys, it's 12:01. So we've kept you 1 minute later, so I apologize. But if aren't any more questions, I'm going to let you get back to your week. So have a wonderful Thursday and happy weekend 1 day early.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.